It seems to me that if a retailer does not have those images, those good images on their site, they're almost dead in the water. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that, and I would say that has grown out of the expectation that the consumers have, and that need for inspiration, and that need to be able to visualize something, and they need to see a high-resolution imagery that really makes them excited about shopping for flooring. And a lot of times, you don't know who you lost. They might have found someone down the road who had better imagery and who was able to bring them into their store. You'll never know what those numbers are, but what you will know is when you do have someone that comes in and says, I found your website, and your website was great. And we get that feedback a lot, and the volume in our participation in our websites has grown phenomenally. And we just, every day that we're able to help the retailer grow in that space, it really realizes that we did the right thing. We really did this to be able to help them compete.
The really scary thing is what you just said. You don't know the people that don't communicate with you, that don't ever walk in the front door.
Right.
And a lot of people don't have the benefit of your service because they never walk in your front door.
Exactly.
And I think one has to rely on these digital marketing expertise that's available, or I think it's going to be a negative story for them.
And the important part is really to think about how it is we shop, how you shop. When you go to purchase something new, the first thing you do is you'll Google it, you'll go to Bing, you want to research it, you want to see what's available, understand what it is you're looking for. The consumer is so much more educated than they ever were because they have all this information around them. And you want to be the one that informed them, and you want to be their consultant, so then they're going to feel that way. They're going to feel even more confident in shopping with you.
And it would seem to me that the pressure is really on that retailer, Shaw and the retailer, to do that quickly. I mean, you can go someplace else in the movement of a finger. And if you don't have that information that they want concisely, attractively, quickly,
right,
it seems like they're gone and they're with somebody else, perhaps a competitor.
Yeah, that's why we call it the zero moment of truth. You might have 2 to 3 seconds from the time someone's standing in line waiting for a table at a restaurant where they decided to get on their mobile phone and look for flooring and say, hey, after I'm done, I might go look around. Who's available? Well, you better have a fast site, a mobile-friendly site, and a site that grabs them the second they see it.
Are you finding that most retailers do have a mobile-friendly site at this point in time?
Most do not. And when I say mobile-friendly, Google has very much tightened the reins on what they call mobile-friendly. So
that was recent.
Yeah, that was very recent. And you know, they haven't tightened it to the point to what we thought of as a mobile site is totally gone. But what Google expects to be a mobile site is they expect your site to be a responsive site. And it has to be quick, and it has to be an engaging experience and contain the same content that your regular website does. So those rules have tightened, and it's important that the retailer knows that. And that's why our solution constantly stays on top of those requirements, because we feel like it's our responsibility. So they don't have to know all of these changes Google's made and all of these rules and all the expectations from the consumer. We want to stay on top of that for them.
It's really pivotal, and I can see now, talking to a lot of retailers and you know who they have doing their work. Some I'm sure are very talented, some are not, and mostly the retailer doesn't know the difference. And they just have so much on their plate, they've not become an expert in digital marketing. And these things slip through the cracks. That's not healthy for any retailer.
Right, and a lot of times they do know. The education of our retailers is amazing. What we do know is they don't have time. You know, they don't have time, and they're limited on the staff that they can dedicate to help. So every little thing that we can do to help offload that pressure and that need, we try to do that.
Well, I guess the response that you've gotten on this has been very positive. The need is
it's
great.
there.
I know whenever we do anything on the Talk Floor website about digital marketing, the numbers are tremendous. That has to, and I've seen seminars at Surfaces and other places, they're packed when it's about this topic.
Yes.
People are hungry, it seems to me.
They are hungry, and it's because it resonates in their lives too. You know, they realize how much digital has impacted every part of their day, even outside of their business. And they have to know how important that is for them, and that really is the leverage that they could have over the other guy. It really is the opportunity that they have to be seen. And if that's where the consumer is shopping at night and on the weekends when their actual storefront's not open, how do they appear? You know, what's the impression that the consumer gets of them, and how are they able to help them through that process?
The shopping campaign, the shopping excursion that the consumer takes, you'd mentioned earlier that maybe is shortening a little bit?
Oh, well, as far as how long it takes them to from the time of concept for I want a new floor to actually purchasing it, I don't know that that's shortened as much, but the information that they have coming into the retail storefront is certainly grown. So they are a lot more educated and a lot smarter and savvy because of the information that they've been able to gain from digital landscape and from ratings and reviews, from what other customers have said. So they come in with a vast amount of knowledge. What the retailers have been able to leverage with, especially Florvana and utilizing a digital product catalog, is they can take that experience in store and shorten that. So if they better understand what the consumer wants and needs when they first come in the door and help them communicate that and bring them the pieces that really speak to who they are, that's shortening the timeline of that purchase. But then it's also giving them so much more confidence. And that's what they told us when we did our insight study. The consumers were feeling, you know, a lack of confidence there because they still did not know what to purchase, where to get it from. And the more tools that we can give them to help build that confidence, the better for us and for them.
It's a complicated product, and which is really what saved the existence of independent floor covering, is because it is a complicated product, and that everyone is a custom installation, I suppose. That's good, but it's also difficult, and it makes the product very difficult to buy. Digital marketing. On Google, for example, tremendous amount of information that it seems to me a regular retailer, a regular person on the street would need to go, to a year-long seminar to be able to understand what that is and what it means, and even more important, how to assimilate it. Talk about that. That just seems to be, that's difficult, and knowing how to tweak the plans that you have, knowing where to increase this or decrease it on the other end, that's what those numbers are, and they're terrific. It's just hard to understand.
It is hard to understand, and there are people who, search engine marketers who do this for a living that spend every hour of the day studying this. So it is a very complex subject. But the big giant that Google is, if you were to ask them why they do what they do, their altruistic statement is, we want to get the best result for our consumer. So, regardless of what you were shopping for online, Google's responsibility is to serve up what is closest to what you were asking for. So it is our job as a partner to our retailers to help figure out how Google is doing that. They change their algorithms every week. So we stay on top of that technology, and it is very hard to figure out what they change and how it's impacting us, but we constantly measure it and we constantly see what's growing and changing, and we shift our strategies along the way to do that.
But you discovered that by virtue of, where you were number 3 in the organic search now, you're number, 16.
Right. Well, you hopefully can catch it before you see the movement. A lot of times when an algorithm is changed, there's a lot of chatter out there, and there's a lot of indications that you're going to get before you get that damaging move. So hopefully we'll catch things before we see that drastic of a difference. And the great part about our solution is we're doing that for ourselves as well, but we're able to take that knowledge and do that for our retailers. So if they have our website solution, we're able to take that, make sure that solution is making the change that Google expects, and interpreting that for them so they don't have to be experts in search engine optimization.
So you make the adjustment based on the algorithm changes at Google, and that in essence helps leads end up in the mailbox of one of your retailers.
Absolutely, and if we stay on top with Shaw Floors and we see the volume that we're getting in hits, those consumers are going to look for a retailer. And that dealer locator is very important, and it's going to take them directly to their website and hopefully directly to their storefront.
Yeah. Do you have any feel for, we know X number of consumers end up in a given retailer's, on their retailer's site, or walk in the door because they've been on their site. Do you know how many of those come from, say, the Shaw Floors, or is there any way to even know that?
Yeah, well, if it's a Shaw Web Studio website, we know if they came from Shaw Floors. We know if they left Shaw Floors, and this is just basic Google Analytics. Yeah. So, and a retailer can do that with the Google Analytics on their site. So they'll know who came to their site and where they came from. So the good thing about having a site that you can measure is you understand what the value is of the links coming to your site. So if you're seeing a lot of traffic from Shaw Floors or Florvana, you realize the value, and you realize what impact that your website has.
And I guess like everything else, the more lines you have out there, the more you're going to catch, I suppose.
Absolutely.